Freedom is a watercolor painting exhibition by contemporary artist Festus Ogwu, and it was organized by the Weave & Co. Gallery here in Lagos.
Because we think that what we're bringing onto the scene is something new, something fresh, something vibrant, something that can give us all some joy at this time that we're in our country.
That's how art patrons describe Festus Ogwu's first solo exhibition. The advertising guru and graduate of the Auchi Polytechnic, Edo State, brings a splash of color in over 20 abstract works of art for this show, using the impressionist style which has given him the freedom to express himself.
Freedom is an inner mind thing. We're trying to make you know that one really get out of the box of doing things. Impressionistic kind of art is a means of trying to give you kind of freedom to express yourself deeply without going through the normal realism kind of art where you want to draw something physically and seriously. It looks like as if you've done photography. But no, with this kind of impressionistic kind of art, you are free to push your brush or your knife, vertically and horizontally to form, good feelings that you can look at and say, yes, this depicts exactly what the artist has in mind.
He's an impressionist, and I love impressionists. They speak volumes to you. They give you the impression that you can always cope with this work for as long as you want to, unlike the regular things that you see. And that's one beautiful thing about the impressionists. You read different meanings to a work. You see the work today, and by tomorrow it makes a new meaning to you. And that's one great thing I love about the impressionists.
And the curator goes on to explain what Festus has been up to, even though he has not showcased his pieces as frequently as the audience would expect.
He's someone who has put in a lot. He's not been exhibiting, but he's been working over time. And you can see it in the depth of his works. He shows a lot of maturity, and he has shown that he's been influenced by great artists. If you look at his work, you can see works of great artists like Sam of Variety, great artists like students or ex-students of Auchi Polytechnic. These are great colorists, those we call the colorists. And you will really be impressed with what you find when you see his works.
His love for the Supreme Being and nature are just some of the subjects Mr. Ogwu captures in his pieces.
Most of my work, especially the very first one, is cityscape, right? It's basically an impressionistic expression of how a city that is built around the sea. Anytime you have a privilege of traveling out of the country, you see some beautiful cities just by the side of the ocean or by the sea, and how it looks like. That's exactly how it is in the first place.
The colors and the medium are a good addition to the final output.
I work with all kinds of colors, all brands of, I work with all kinds of colors, but I love warm colors more. I also do things on hot colors, but oil color, that's what you're talking about. I work on oil colors and acrylic. Oil, well, far on the grounds that where oil gives you a long time to work on a board. Why? Because it does not dry easily. So you put one color or you put one rendition, you want to take a step back, I have about 2 or 3 days for it to dry midway before you want to apply. But with the acrylic, as sweet as it is too, like the oil color, it dries fast because it's almost like water-based. It dries really fast. So you can in 2 or 3, 4 days, capture exactly what you want to capture in your mind.
Those details are not gone unnoticed by the guests who have come to enjoy these strokes, even though some of them admit that one has to look very well to understand the pieces.
When you look from afar, the color combination, the subject and everything gives you an impression of a non-figurative abstract. But by the time you come closer, you begin to enjoy the colors and the subject itself. Like this is an eagle. The first thing you see is a tree with a trunk and a different combination of colors in the foliage. You have to really look deep to get the subject. And that is a new thing. I can see a whole lot of new things in his work. And that is nice because we don't want all artists to paint the same way.
But the colors and the way they fuse together on the canvas have been described as a collector's delight.
Before I came, I was hearing that he paints oil color like watercolor. So when I came, I now realized that seeing the fluidity with his works, you know, and the colors, how they harmonize, and they are quite attractive, you know, the boldness, the ease with which he places that, it is really interesting.
Wow, it's simply amazing. I'm overwhelmed. You know, different sizes of artworks, miniatures, and the sizable ones. They're all very impressive. And the colors are, you know, overwhelmingly warm and very welcoming.
From the rendition and the works we've seen so far, they meet any standard. You know, he has experience. He's been working like this for a long time, and you can see the Auchi Polytechnic influence on all the works. You know, the colors are bright, right, and they meet what an art collector will want to consider. You know, they meet that standard. You know, you see an experienced painter here. And I looked at the watercolors as well. The watercolors, the fecundity are so, you know, so great. So the artist is good, and Festus Ogwu is okay.
The idea behind this exhibition is to push the artists and art connoisseurs to task their imagination, explore and conquer new territories.
You can enjoy Art House on any of these platforms.
Next week on Art House. The arts are the hospitals for our souls, and we'll see that on the program next week in this maiden edition tagged Uplighting Spirits 2.
The idea is to see how we can use art to transform the healthcare experience, because you realize that when people are in the hospital, you know, they have different negative feelings. So through art, we are able to use art to change that narrative, to use art to uplift their spirit.
So tune in, same time next week.
The healing power of the arts is enormous, and you see that and more when you tune in next week. But in the meantime, check us out on our YouTube page. You can see this or any other edition there. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Have a lovely day.